Larry doesn't want to rehearse. He wants to be surprised. I will literally set people up to get Larry. There was a scene with June Day and Raphael. Larry was sitting next to her on a plane and she kept pulling shit out of her bag. And it's like, Larry had no idea that she was going to do that. He's like, how much stuff is he pulling out of her bag? Like, he likes to be surprised. The funniest thing in the scene could be something you didn't even know existed 10 minutes ago. Like, I'm literally putting lines like in the middle of the scene. I remember episode 7 of last year, like Vince and Larry, both of them didn't want to have to take care of this kid. And they were both trying to on it off on each other. And I'm just like, do this, but yelling at each other. Like, start talking about how great each other you are, but angry. That's literally just in the middle of a take. I'm like, no, angry, keep going. And it's like every scene you are shaping as it happens. Every scene's a live rewrite. Hey, I'm Jeff Schaffer, and welcome to the Screenplayed Breakdown.
In this episode, Jeff looks back on 3 decades of comedy, from pitching early ideas to Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, to shaping Curb Your Enthusiasm with loose outlines and on-the-fly improvisation. He explains why every season feels like the last, how scenes get rebuilt in real time, and why the show works best when Larry charges straight into every social mess without learning a thing. Thanks for joining us.
Thrilled to be here. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. A little cold, but doing great.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
I would love to talk about, if you could, just for the people that maybe don't know the behind the scenes of Seinfeld and Curb, introduce yourself and walk us up to starting on Curb from your career.
So, a long time ago, I think right after the Civil War, I started working on Seinfeld. I think it was like 94. So, my writing partner, Alec Berg, and I started there on season 6. And we were there for the last 4 years. So it was 2 years with Larry and then 2 years without Larry. Larry left at the end of season 7 and didn't come back until the finale, which we can talk about. But we did that, and then we did a bunch of movie stuff. And since then, I've done the show The League, did 7 seasons of that, did a show called Dave for FX, and helped out with Borat, did Bruno, traveled around the world with Sasha for that. We did The Dictator. Those are some of the highlights. Lowlights are available upon request. But we started. So Curb, when we were doing these other things, Larry started to do Curb, and sometimes we'd go out to lunch with him and he'd say, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm thinking about doing that. And then after we did Eurotrip, in like 2003, 2004, Alec and I and Dave Mandel, who I also was on Seinfeld, we wrote a lot with, started on Curb in season 5. And season 5, we just wrote with Larry. We were sort of just in the office with him. And then 6 on, we were there. And then we took a big break. Actually, that's when I was doing The League, which was after season 8. Curb sort of took a big break, and I basically did 6 seasons of The League then. And then Larry did a whole bunch of stuff. He did a play and he did some other stuff. And we were talking about doing a movie. And then he's like, well, I don't know. These sort of seem like Curb ideas. Should we just do another season of Curb? And I'm like, yeah, why don't we do another season of Curb? And he goes, do you think anyone would want to see it? I'm like, yeah. So, and I'll get into this, but every season of Curb. So anyway, that was season 9. So from season 9 on, it's just been Larry and I for 9, 10, 11, and 12. Right. Because Alec and Dave were busy doing a ton of other stuff. So, so I've been working with Larry pretty much my entire adult life. It's been about 30 years now. It's the longest relationship I've ever had in my life is with Larry David. So I don't know what that says about me, but that's what it is. So, but every season of Curb, you never plan to do a season of Curb. In fact, Larry plans to not do another season of Curb. Right. When a season of Curb is done, he's used all the ideas he likes. And so there can't be another season of Curb because he doesn't have any more ideas. So, and he's the only person on the planet that thinks he's not going to come up with more good ideas. Right. So every season of Curb is the last season of Curb. I mean, the end of season 5, the final episode was called The End. And it was not ironic. It was like, so when a season's done, it's over. It's never happening again. And then a few months go by and he calls and goes like, I'm not doing another season. I go, we know. I mean, if I did, I only have one idea. It's like, you want to talk about it? It's a waste of your time. Why don't we talk about it? And we would literally have an office next to his office that we would just go back to. And in those early seasons, and we'd be like, well, we're just going to go to that office and we're going to work out of there. And it was right next to his. And if you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. And this would happen. And this would happen for a few months. And then all of a sudden we had like 6 or 7 episodes written. And I'd be like, we should call HBO and tell them we're doing another season because we got to crew up. We got to like tell people we're doing this. And that's literally almost every year. So when it came time to like do this finale, it was like, I've done like all of these have been planned to be the finale. Like, but now we have to really do it. So, but anyway, yeah, I've been working on and off with Larry for a long, long time.
No, I mean, and from watching Curb, that's impressive to maintain that consistent of a relationship with Larry, given, his relationships in the show. But looking back to those 2 seasons of Seinfeld in the 90s to now, how has your relationship changed?
Well, I mean, it started we submitted ideas to Seinfeld. Alec and I we had worked on a whole bunch of other little shows, and we were actually worked on Conan, Late Night with Conan when it first started. We were in New York for that. We came back because we were supposed to be on another season of Herman's Head, which got canceled. So we're sitting in LA and we submitted ideas, didn't hear anything. The moving truck was taking all of our stuff to go to New York to live there full time and work at Conan when we got a call that they read our ideas and liked it. I remember I was in a bathrobe. And they're like, it's like 1:00 in the afternoon. Like, are you guys busy? I'm like, no, no, we can come over. So went over to the Seinfeld offices and walked in that room. And if you've seen Curb with those desks up next to each other and their feet up on the desk, that's what it was. And, Jerry is just sort of staring at you. Larry is rolling a space pen in his hand, looking at you like you've just murdered his family. Just like, and you're just like, okay, let's be funny. So we pitched stuff and they liked it. And they said, okay, you can start. So back then it was like, oh my God, this is Larry David. I watched this show in college and now I'm working on this show. But what started as I would say he was like a mentor, because we would just ask him 1,000 questions all the time. Like because Seinfeld wasn't like other shows. It didn't have a writer's room.
Right.
It was independent study. You went to your room and you thought of ideas and then you pitched them to Larry and Jerry and they go, I like this one. I like that one. I like this one. And then you'd go and you'd work on it on a dry erase board and do what I call comedy geometry of trying to figure out what the story was and how they all intersected. And you show it to them and they go, what you thought was a full show. They would go, no, that's the first act. Great. Figure out the rest. And then you'd go off and write the script and then they would take it and rewrite it or not. If they, in fact, that's when we knew we sort of made it. Our second episode, which was The Label Maker, it basically went to the table. And we're like, oh, okay, I think we're good. But when it was your episode, we would follow Larry around and we would, so we're on the set, we're on the stage with him and it was just death of 1,000 cuts. Can we do this? What of that? With that? And then we would get to sit in the edit room and we would go to the sound mix. So we learned how to do, we learned how to do everything that you need to do to direct or produce a show. Because by doing it in our episodes, and then that was 2 years when he was there, and then when he left, we were now doing that for everybody's episodes. Yeah. So it's like then we had a much more, and he was always great and collaborative, and like Larry and Jerry both have the confidence to be collaborative. They're like they know if it's good, it's good. Like they don't care where the idea comes from. So that's great because they're not insecure. Right. Which you can get a lot of times. So, but then it became with us, it was like, well, we've run Seinfeld and you've run Seinfeld. And we all know how hard that is just putting out 22 episodes. So it became much more of a partnership or mutual kind of, we've all been through it. And now we're partners. It's the two of us make the show. Like we write the show together. We film the show. And when we sit on a couch, we sit on a couch for 6 months and edit the show. I mean, I guess now I always say that about our partnership that he does what I can't do and I do all the things he doesn't want to do. So dealing with production and like all that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, we sit in a room and write together. And by the way, it's the same. Seinfeld and Curb are written the exact same way. You come up with ideas and you put them on the dry erase board. I'm literally looking at these dry erase boards that were the exact the same model we used for Seinfeld. It's the same ones used for Curb, and everything in this office. All the Curb episodes for the last 4 or 5 seasons have been written on these dry erase boards. We just sit here and try to figure it out. And in fact, there's at one point we drew a line for the first like after like the first paragraph on the fourth column, we just put a red line because that's where we always got stuck.
Right.
Always. And you're like, and he would say the same thing every episode. He would go, is this one harder than all the others? Like, you say this all the time. But you realize you got to that point and it's not adding up. Stuff's not working. And it's not because the problem's not where you are. The problem was way back at the front. Either these things aren't intersecting well. We need another story. There needs to be another ball in the air. There needs to be another complication. Like, we're not adding up to this. The comedy geometry is not adding up to like this fun, wrap it all up like in a great, interesting way kind of thing. So you have to go back, and so we're always throwing stories out. You know, that story, like, oh, it doesn't work in episode 4, maybe it works in episode 6, or oh, remember that thing from 2 seasons ago? I mean, honestly, I'm both answering every question and none of your questions, but whatever.
This is great.
The final scene of the entire Curb series is a story that we shot twice. We shot it once in episode 9, and we shot it once in season 9 and once in season 11. The fighting over the window cover in the airplane.
Yeah.
We literally, like, because when you get an airplane set, you're like, oh, let's do we want to do all these airplane jokes, because you rarely get an airplane set. They're expensive. You have to haul it in and whatever. It has to go on a stage, whenever on a stage, all this kind of stuff. So we were like, oh, we're on an airplane. Let's do these 9 airplane things we always wanted to do. And then you shoot them all. And then you're in the edit room. You're like, we can't be on this plane for this long. And so it was always the extra thing, because it was just extra. And then when we knew we wanted to end with the whole group arguing about something, and they were coming back from Atlanta. It was like, remember that thing we've shot twice? Like, and it was always like, maybe if it's on its own, it can work. And it was the perfect thing for them to go out arguing about. But like that stuff happens all the time, where we pull stories. Some never make it back, but even episodes that we've shot, we pull stories out, we put them in other episodes. And that's like the biggest examples. Like the final scene was shot twice before.
No, I mean, that's so interesting. And then the comedy geometry that you mentioned, when Larry was saying initially, or when you say now, leading the show, when things aren't working, is it just you haven't had enough jokes? You know, you shot 2, or you thought you had something more and it's not enough, or you're thinking, are you thinking actually in terms of structure, like we need to have these different A, B, C stories that kind of combine into because I mean, the classic kind of Curb, 3 different things are happening, they don't seem related, and then boom, right at the end, everything comes together into something you didn't expect. Is that consciously what you aim for?
Well, so going back, like Seinfeld and Curb, right? I said they're written the same way, and they are. They're both on the dry erase board. The only difference is with Seinfeld, you spend a few days and write a script. With Curb, we have that outline, and then we write it different, which I'll talk about. But like, the problem is, like, when you talk about a story, like when you come up with the idea for a story, like the first Seinfeld we did with George getting caught eating out of the trash. Okay, that's the story, but it's not a story; it's a scene. Okay. So where do you go from there? Right. And eventually it gets to George, like, taking his shirt off when he's in the bathroom and all that kind of stuff. But that it's the same problem. It's like, you come up with this, oh, there's a funny story, but certain ones suggest multiple scenes. Certain ones don't. So they need help, or you have to figure out where those go. And sometimes they don't go the right way. Or like, that second beat's not working. Like, yeah, that's a funny thing. And then you're like, oh, you know what? That funny thing that was the kernel of this whole thing, maybe that shouldn't be the opening beat of that story. Maybe that should be in the third beat. Or, oh my gosh, what if we combined it with this or that? So you're always looking for these combinations. And I'll say the amazing thing about Larry is he's fearless about starting. Like, when we're starting a season, first thing we do is think about an arc. But like, just with an episode, he's like, well, what do we have around? Let's throw it up. Where I'm like, wait, where's it going? He's like, doesn't matter. Let's find it. We'll just figure it out. So he's fearless about starting, and I'm always thinking about those extra beats. Right. So, for instance, you know, I don't know, there's Irashimase, right? Like, you know, Larry yelling Irashimase, and the sushi chef, you know, only chef says Irashimase. It's like, that's a funny argument. Where does it go? And it's like, so we're talking about it. And then at the same time, Larry's on a date with a woman who's like, I'll tell you my secret. You know, when I was a teacher, I slept with a student, and you have to tell me something really personal. And he gives her his shortcut to the valley, and he thinks those are equal. And so you're sitting there with both of those, and I'm just like, well, in the end, I don't know how we get there, but that sushi chef needs to say, like, he slept with student, he blew him in, like, you know, those, like, we have to get to those combinations. So I'm always thinking ahead, But I don't know if I would have had the like gumption to start the way he does. So it's so we work things. I think we're a team that way.
No, diving in without that plan, it's no, yeah, definitely. I mean, because the whole point is that ending, that final joke that ties everything together. And speaking of those starting points and those jokes, is it just things that happen in your life? Larry doesn't want to park in a handicapped spot, and then boom, he comes into work rattling off about something. Are those where those ideas are coming from?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are us just talking and showing each other our awkward scars, right? It's like I mean, literally, that's how. When there isn't, in between seasons, he goes out in the world and has, let's say, spirited discussions with the rest of the west side of Los Angeles. And those are the stories. I mean, he'll come into the office and it was like, I was at a dinner party last night and the host served tap water. No other option, just tap water. Who does that at a dinner party? I wanted to complain. And I just go, well, real Larry didn't complain, but TV Larry's going to complain.
Right.
And that's the start of something. I mean, I remember I was flying somewhere for something and I was in the security line and there were like two lines were meeting at a security desk where a security agent is. And like, I'm in one and across from me are these two African-American gentlemen and the TSA agent whose wife just goes, "Are you two together?" And they just look at each other and they go, "No." And everyone just went, "Oh, buddy, oh, no." And I literally got my phone out of that, ripped it out of the x-ray thing to go like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are just things that have happened to us. And I would say like, it's TV Larry and real Larry, right? TV Larry is neurotic Superman to real Larry's neurotic Clark Kent.
Right.
Right. TV Larry gets to do all the things real Larry wants to do. In fact, Larry said, I don't know, one of the seasons we were coming back, he's like, "I'm coming back because I've realized it's much more fun to play Larry David than it is to be Larry David." Because that's what the show is. The show's wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
In a weird way. But for the audience, like, "Oh my God, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd said that to that pig parker. I wish I'd told that guy not to wear shorts on the plane." Whatever that is. But it's wish fulfillment for Larry too. He gets to act out and do all the things he wants to do in real life. But if he did anything in real life, that's what people go. The biggest misnomer about the show, like the same way that people were completely wrong about Seinfeld. Seinfeld is a show about nothing. It's a nice phrase, whatever.
Yeah.
It couldn't be more opposite of the truth. Seinfeld was the most densely something show, packed with story. No show was packed with that much story up to then, before Seinfeld.
Right.
And the same way that Curb is about Larry's life. No, if this was Larry's life, Larry would be in jail, like beaten up, in prison. Like, no, it's about Larry's ideas. The show's about Larry's ideas.
Right.
So that's why when people go, "I want to do like a Curb type show where they just follow me around," I go, "That's not what the show is." Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're not really thinking this through. And they go, "Oh, well, it's all improvised." Right. So we just show up at an intersection and go, "We're going to have a car accident here." "Hey, can we use your house? We're going to have a dinner party." No, there's like, it's a semi-scripted show. It's the structure, the same way there was a Seinfeld structure and then we write the script. There's a Curb structure. The stories make sense on their own and they're funny. The angles or how people are coming at it are funny. The difference is there's not a script. There's an outline and we let really funny improvisers go for it and we shape it and every scene's a live rewrite. It's like when I'm directing, I'm moving the cameras, but I'm also telling like, "Try this, try that." Like I have a walkie and there's a walkie on set. So I can just go, "Try this, say that," whatever. And it's like a live comedy sporting event.
Right.
And that's the second time the show gets written. Curb gets written 3 times. Outline, every day on the day, every scene's a live rewrite. And then the third and final time in the edit room.
Right.
Where we have to choose our adventure. Like, which one of these things do we want to do? But like, it's not, the story itself is still there. The story is still funny. We're not doing it without a story. Like, we're not improvising on top of nothing. We're improvising on top of a very structured, very specific outline.
And no, that makes me curious. What you think the kind of course ingredient or the secret sauce is of Seinfeld or Curb, that it's this wish fulfillment that people who are sitting at home who do want to complain about the same things that Larry does or everything that was, 30 different characters in Seinfeld were always getting up some just whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to think of Kramer things, the lights. But is it that is that what you think people connected to?
Yeah, I think I always say Larry speaks for those who have no voice. Right? It's like all of the, like, there's lots of big problems in the world. And people are dealing with those as well. They should, but someone's got to deal with the little problems. Someone's got to point them out and call people out. And, and that's what it is. It's like all these things that are happening to people every day. It's like, oh, and that's the beauty of Larry. It's like people either go, oh my God, that happened to me too. I wish I could have said that. Or they go, I know someone who did that, who does that. I know someone who does that. Yeah. Right. And, sometimes with the show, it's like it's a comedy horror movie, right? Like when I call it the itchy tag. He's like about to leave. If he just left, everything would be okay. And he goes,
gotta go
and he
back.
comes back, and you're like, do not say it, right? Right? It's like in a horror movie where it's like, there's a murder. There's a murder at
don't
loose,
go around that corner.
Right? And people are like, great, I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to run out of the woods. I'll go into the basement. It's like, what? All right, whatever. But like, this is the same. It's like, do not do this. Do not do it. Oh my God, he did it. I can't believe he did it. But I think that's the fun of the show. It's like all these little things that are super specific actually make it super universal.
Mm-hmm. No, I think so as well. I mean, it's that sense of kind of curling up behind your couch, go, don't say it, man, please, for the love of God. And you just either you've done that. I mean, everyone has. Or you've seen it at that dinner party or the Thanksgiving, almost always Thanksgiving. But you mentioned earlier the process of directing, and that's something you have a huge role in the Curb show. So I was curious, with most films, or probably every other show that's not entirely improvised on the day, with the exception of the structure, this is going to be an important line. Okay, we're planning a push in here. Or okay, this is what we have to set up. With not having a direct script to follow or to plan for, what is your directing process? Is it bringing in a lot of cameras and trying to preempt what the actors are going to do? What do you have to do?
So there's a few things. We have 3 cameras going on Curb. So if there's 2 people, right, you've got an over and over and a like a profile or a mini master, whatever. You've got a snapshot of the scene, so you can just work on performance. Of course, the more people you add, the harder, get those big 8, 12 people dinner parties. The idea is really to maximize performance. So I have a plan for every scene. I have a plan, and I have a plan directing wise, but I also have a plan writing wise. Like a lot of times the outline doesn't take into account like, oh, it sort of says this, but what are you going to do before that? Where they're going to go? So, and by the way, rehearsal for a scene, we don't talk. It's save your words because he wants to be surprised. So it's literally blah, 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 you go here, blah, 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 you go there. So you have a plan for how you're going to shoot this thing, but half of that, you also know half of that is going out the window, and you're going to be coming up with a new plan on the fly. And like, oh, they said that funny stuff over by the door when they were exiting. We're going to have to cover that. Yeah, we got to go cover that. Or like, we have the funniest thing in the world. Like the funniest thing in the world. Do we even have a setup to get to that? Right. Like you have to be thinking. So when I'm directing, I'm writing, and when I'm writing and I'm thinking like an editor, like, can I get from here to here? I want to play around with this stuff, but I know if I don't like that, I can get from A to C and skip B, but we should play around with B for a little bit. Right. Because there's all these digressions that you don't know are going to happen. And you have to know which ones you want to choose and chase, and which ones you're like, I'm not going to use that. So sometimes you're sitting there just like, I'll be sitting there, just, no, we're going to cut this, cut. We're not going to get to this. Okay, now we get to this. Okay. Sometimes you go around and you're like, but I'm literally moving cameras around, like during the scene, like, hold on. Wait, say this again. Say that again. Okay, now pan. And like, you're just doing it on the fly. That's what I'm saying. It's a live comedy sporting event. You're covering something. The actors aren't ever going to say the same thing twice. You have to like, or I love that. I love that he did that. He was off camera, or I don't want it in a single. I want that in a rake too, or whatever it is. Right. You sort of you're literally keeping in your head, do I have everything I want in the kind of shots I want it? And you do pushes and some of it's planned. Some of it you're literally just redoing like you don't know what you didn't. The funniest thing in the scene could be something you didn't even know existed 10 minutes ago. Right. And you're like, oh, I want to make sure we're doing that. I want to make sure we're covering that, or like, that was so great. So you're writing and directing at the same time, and you're editing in your head.
right.
at the same time too. So because I'm sitting in the edit room too. So like, oh boy, I really think we should, in the AD is like, do we have time for this? Like, no, we got to get this. I'm going to use this. This I'm going to use. But at the same time, I'm also shouting lines. Mm-hmm. Like and I use a walkie. So because when you yell, if I yelled, they couldn't hear my intonation. Yeah. So it's called the Jeffy. The Jeffy's on set and it's just like this or that. But I'm also, the show is about Larry versus the world.
Right.
And that's how we shoot it. So like I said, he doesn't want to rehearse with any words. He wants to be surprised. But we also are a location-based show, so you're shooting wildly out of order. You could be shooting 6 different episodes at Larry's house, and they could be the 5th, the 10th, the 20th. Like, none of it's in order. So I have to keep in my head what we've done, what we're going to do, what I think you're going to do. And as an actor, your first day on set may be your final scene of the show.
Right.
So it's like, what's going on? So I'm usually finding people in their trailers or in the makeup room going, hey, this and that, this and that. You may want to try this. You may want to try that. Like whispering in like JB's ear, hey, you want to talk about this, want to talk about that. But like I will set people up to get Larry.
Right.
Like Larry has no idea. Like, and someone will be in the edit room and goes, did you give him that? I'll go, yeah. But like even, I don't know, there was a scene with June Day and Raphael, like Larry was sitting next to her on a plane and she kept pulling shit out of her bag. Mm-hmm. And it's like Larry had no idea that she was going to do that. Like I packed that bag full. So he's like, how much stuff is he pulling out of her bag? Like he likes to be surprised.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially with JB, like I have to know directing wise, like get out of an over and get into a tighter single of JB. So I don't see, because Larry just laughs. I mean, he laughs so much, which is so funny. I mean, it's like, he'll just, those first take, the amount of stuff I'm like, I can't let him ruin this. This is going to be great. Mm-hmm. So I got to go in tighter. So, but yeah, you're generating and trying stuff. And then again, like I'm saying, in the edit, you'll choose what the best stuff is.
Right. And that's interesting to me. And just so I make sure I had it, you actually do. If someone says a line and you're not pointing the right way, you do get them to repeat it. So
oh yeah,
you actually.
Oh, I do. I'll go say it like this. Try this.
Okay.
I'm literally putting lines like also like in the middle of the scene. I don't like cutting; it's a waste of time. So you're just like, half the time I'll just walk out on like I remember Vince in episode 7 of last year. Like Vince was over, Larry had just screwed him. Both of them didn't want to have to take care of this kid. This guy was sick. It's like if I die, I want you to look after my daughter. Mm-hmm. And they were both trying to pawn it off on each other. Yeah. And Vince came over and he's like, "You're really screwing me with this kid." And Larry's like, I'd be a terrible parent. And Vince is like, "No, you'd be great. I'd be a terrible parent," or whatever. And I'm just like, do this, but yelling at each other. Like start talking about how great each other you are, but angry. And they started like, people say the nicest things about you. And that's literally just in the middle of a take. I'm like, no, angry, mm-hmm. Keep going. Angry. And it's like, you're just shaping, I think every scene you are shaping as it happens. Right. And like, the only thing I have to watch out for sometimes, because you're also just like, you can see, there's a few things. You can see Larry, who's acting and writing at the same time also. Like Larry and I are both like writing in parallel tracks as the scene is progressing. So sometimes he puts his finger to his lips and he goes like, and he's laughing, not about what the other person said, but about, he's laughing at what he's about to do.
Right.
Like he's about to throw a monkey wrench into something or whatever.
Yeah.
And the only thing I have to watch out for, and it only happens like a few times a season, which is like someone says a line and I'm like, is Larry going to pick up on it? Is Larry going to pick up on it? And I go, and I'll say the joke. And Larry's like, yeah, I was about to get to it. Because I realized, all right, yeah, that's what's fun for both of us. We're just writing this stuff. Like someone says something and we'll fire something back. Like I'll just do it through the walkie or he does it right there. But like, that's the fun. That's why it's so fun to do. Yeah. And sometimes you're like, oh, this is fun, but like it needs language. Like in between takes, like Larry and I will talk it out. It's like, I know there was an earlier episode where, was that season 6? I don't know. Larry's neighbor came over to say that things were getting stolen in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And Larry was like, I'd rather have thieves than neighbors, was the basic thing. And I was like, sometimes I go, it just needs more language. It needs more language. And so we're talking about it, I go, oh, because the thieves take your stuff, but the neighbors take your time. And like, okay, great, go say that. Yeah. Or we'll go back and forth. Okay, go back out there, do that. So it's a very organic process. It's no other shows. I mean, The League, we did it the same way. It was like, I was basically, what if we could do a curb style show with other, like with a younger group of improvisers? And we had the fucking best, I mean, Cole and Sheer and all those guys. So, but most shows do not do things this way, but I love it.
No, and that makes me interested. As someone who started off as a writer, precious about your word, constantly pitching these jokes to have down on the paper. What is it that makes you like improv even more so, would you say?
Yeah, because you don't have to, you're writing it right there. It's so much more fun to
see the immediate reaction.
Yeah, just to do it. And like, it's much easier than sitting there alone. Just doing it. I mean, we do that too. Like every night I'll have like, there's tons of other jokes. I'm like coming up with stuff. Yeah. But it's a very collaborative thing. And if you have the right people, it's really fun. And you're you're steering and pushing and prodding and making people do things. They're like, well, we can't say that. Oh no, you're going to say that. And then you're going to do this. Yeah. It's like, I like making things. Like writer, director, whatever. I like to make it. Like,
right.
So like the joy of writing it is just so we can make it.
Right. Okay. It's the stepping stone.
Yeah. In fact, it's basically 6 months. Curb is 6 months writing, 6 months shooting, 6 months editing. So it's an 18-month footprint basically.
Right.
And the writing is the most difficult part. Like the other parts are really fun. In fact, like COVID, we were one of the first shows back shooting pre-vaccine with an older cast on location. And the reason why we were doing that is because we had already written the season. It's like, we wrote it, we're shooting it. Like if I get sick, I get sick. But we fucking did all this work. We're going to shoot this thing.
Yeah.
But like, the writing never stops along the whole process. You're just different kinds of writing. You're doing story writing in the front, then you're doing like, how do we play with it? Digressions and more lines and like all that kind of stuff. And then the third part, you're shaping it in a different way, but you're also still adding lines and we're tweaking and like, there's a lot, like anytime you can't see someone's face, we can put whatever. And like, oh my gosh, we're going to cut this whole scene out. We don't need this. So how do we get this information in another scene?
Right.
How do we cut this? How do we, trimming down and getting it as tight as it can be. So you never stop writing the entire time.
Right. No. And looking back of all the things that you have written, is there an episode or even just a single joke or something that you're most proud of?
Well, I think one thing that I'm proud of, just because it sort of put a bow on a lot of my career, was sort of coming up with the idea for the Curb finale, which was, we didn't really plan on this. We sort of knew this might be the last season, but again, I didn't really think that way because every season's the last season, great, whatever. And we knew that we were going to start, every season we sort of start with talking about an arc, or at least what things that could be an arc. And Larry was like, hey, there's this law in Atlanta where you can't give food or water to someone in a voting line. Like, I should get arrested for that. We're like, okay. Then I'm like, why is he in Atlanta? So then you think about that, and then all these other things. So we knew he was going to get arrested. And, if there's an arrest, there's probably going to be some sort of obligatory like court thing later. Yeah. But we knew we had done that on Seinfeld.
Right.
So we're like, so we weren't really thinking about it. We were just sort of going through episode by episode. So we're like in the middle of this, I don't know, we're in like episodes 5, 6, something like that. And we didn't have an end, or we hadn't really talked about how the season was going to end. And we were talking about a story about, Larry gets like hit by a ball or whatever. And this kid has thrown the ball and hit Larry. And the mom's like, you need to stay here. He needs to learn his lesson. And Larry's like, I don't want to be a part of this lesson. And as we were talking it out, like we do, Larry goes like, I'm 75 years old. I've never learned a lesson in my life. Like, I don't need to be here for this. And I'm like, that's what it needs to be.
Right,
I go,
right there.
That's what we need to do. We need to just do the trial and just keep saying that you've never learned your lesson and steer the Titanic right back at the iceberg.
Yeah.
He's like, really? I go, yeah. No, it's going to be great. He's like, it's ambitious in its laziness. and it's unique in its repetition.
To redo the entire end.
Yeah. And it's like, let's say you've never learned one goddamn thing and do it again.
Yeah.
And he was nervous. I'm like, no, this is going to work. This is going to work. And we were going to push it. And I was like, we're going to push it and we're going to push it. And we're going to push it all the way to that final shot in jail before we don't, right? We're going to repeat all, up to there. And like Jerry, like Larry got on board and then Jerry loved it. And Jerry was like, this is like, we were all there on the day in the courtroom and we were about to go to the jail scene and we were talking about the Seinfeld finale and all this kind of stuff. And that's where like we came up with the idea of them even saying, this is how we should have ended the finale. Like we didn't even have that until an hour before. Like it was just going to end on them going, it was just going to end on them. Nobody wants to see it. Like trust me, nobody wants to see this.
Right. Okay.
About Larry in jail. Like, and so it was, but that whole thing, like Jerry was like, this is so great. This is a joke that's 25 years in the making. Like how often do you get to do that? But I loved that it was ultimately about more than Curb. It sort of spoke to the contrary DNA of Larry himself, right?
Right.
You didn't like it? Well, you know what? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. And you know what? You're going to like it this time.
Yeah.
So it was just he was a little nervous. I will say the day it was going to air, the finale was going to air, I was going to go over to his house. My wife and I were going to go over to his house to watch it. And he called me earlier in the day, which he goes like, you think it's going to work? I go, yeah. And he goes, well, look, if it works, I'll take credit. If it doesn't, I'll blame you. I go, great. But it's going to work. It's going to work. I guess it's so hard to do a finale.
Yeah.
It's so hard to end a show because it's a breakup, really. Like people have had this long relationship. I mean, the show was on for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, so you're literally breaking up with them. You're saying bye.
Yeah. We're done.
So there's always like this feeling of like bitterness or like anger or whatever. So it's how do you, also you don't want the show to feel like its own, you don't want a finale to feel like it's its own beast. You want it to feel like still is a good episode of the show, which we worked really hard at too. It's like, Larry wasn't just sitting in that courtroom doing nothing, watching people talk. There were all these Curb stories going in and out of that ultimately propelled the story and caused the story and led to the denouement and all that kind of stuff, right? Bad sequester or whatever. So it was really important that it also felt like a Curb episode, not a finale episode.
Right.
But it was a tricky thing, and I really was sure it was going to work, and it did work, and everyone really liked it, and that made Larry was happy, and Jerry was happy, and that really made me happy because it was like I was back at me as a 24-year-old starting on the show, and now I'm here with it's Larry and Jerry and I. We're figuring out how to go full circle on this whole thing. So that was a really, really cool professional moment.
No, and then, I mean, if you look back at, starting from Seinfeld to the finale, almost like a 30-year period, how did you feel when you said that final cut? I mean, they always say it's the last Curb, but, for now, it's done. How did you feel?
By the way, because of this ending, we forced ourselves into the final season. Like, once I told Larry when we were writing, I go, look, like, we have to announce it's the final season. Because this joke only works if everyone thinks it's the finale. Right. But I said, look, Tom Brady came back 1 year later, and I also said, there's nothing more Larry than having a whole bunch of hoopla about this final episode or whatever and come slinking back if you want to. But he knew and I knew that's it. Yeah. You can't, like, it works if you think it's the end, because then you're like, I can't believe they're doing this again.
This is the way they do it.
So we sort of wrote ourselves into killing the show. But we're picking up. Larry's still having spirited discussions, right? Yeah. So we just actually finished shooting our new kind of limited series that we're doing for HBO right now. We just finished shooting a big part of it, so that's what the wrap party was for. So we're still at it.
Okay, so there's rumblings in the future.
Yes. Next, you'll see it July of 2026.
Okay, awesome, sweet, something to look forward to. And then as we're kind of getting into the final section, just wanted to know, starting off with, I guess this is not really related, but with Seinfeld, the kind of structure of built-in story beats, acts with commercial breaks, and then Curb being HBO not having that. Do you find that you enjoy a difference between having that kind of the structured break of commercials, or the kind of free-flowing you go all the way through?
Sometimes act breaks can really help. The bigger difference with Curb and Seinfeld is Seinfeld, there were 4 characters, right? And so you're weaving those together. With Curb, Larry's in every scene, right? Every story is a Larry story. So it's you have to think differently. You're not going away from Larry.
Right.
To tell another story and then coming back. So you have to figure out, it's a different way for them to intersect. Like on Seinfeld, you could have separate stories that don't intersect until the end.
Right.
But you have to do it. It's different when they're all Larry stories. But the act break stuff, look, sometimes it helps. I mean, the one thing we do have, and on Curb too, you don't even have, there's no cold open. Right. Sometimes you get a cold open and then boom to the title card, and that helps too. Like being able to have a slam an end. Yeah. That's, you can get wind-aided comedy that way sometimes too. So with Curb, you have to go the whole way. But I guess you don't really. Honestly, I don't really think about it that much. Now I'm thinking about The League, which was cut for commercial breaks too. Yeah, and it was like, and even for Seinfeld, it was like, okay, you definitely wanted that act break. There had to be something good at the act break. But really, you're still playing a longer game, and act breaks can move around anyway. You're still trying to you're always really playing the long game for the end. Right. That's so I don't remember really ever really thinking about it that much, frankly.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I guess if you're pointing to that kind of bigger ending, they're just stepping stones, and the structure's going to be there anyways, even if it's a McDonald's ad, Whoppers or something in the middle. But looking over, from your early days to now, was there someone that taught you the most about writing or doing your job? If it was Larry, or maybe a teacher, friend, funny uncle?
Well, I was in college. I was on the Lampoon, the comedy magazine. So that was great practice because they sort of wouldn't allow you to do sort of some easy things. You had to write pieces that had nothing to do with school or had nothing to do with, it wasn't like getting hit with a ball peen hammer. It wasn't funny words. I was no, you have to write a piece. You have to write things that have a concept. There has to be a funny concept. So it was just good practice, right? Because I think I would say writing for television, especially, it's a craft more than an art. It's like building a barrel, right? If you were a cooper and if I gave you a bunch of wood and I said, build a barrel, your first barrel is not going to be very good. Yeah. Right. But the more time you spend building barrels, the more you realize, oh, I need this there, I need this here. I know you learn how to shape it, what the shape should be of a show, where the resources should go, where the story is lagging or not. But the person who taught me the most was Larry. I mean, because the story had to always move. He'd just be in those early days, that's what I'm saying. You thought you had a whole episode written. Right. And you go, no, these are the same beat. Get that goes with, that's your act one. Now what's act two? Everything. So you just get used to oh my gosh, we're treading water here. No, that can't happen. How do you progress? How do you progress? How do you keep it moving? And that was amazing. And also just, everything about how to make a show. We learned basically at Seinfeld from Larry and Jerry, because they let us be there for all of that. So when we knew how to edit, we knew how to sound mix, we knew, even the laugh track guy, who would always do two things. He'd be if you complained about, he was the sourest man in the world. He had his little laugh track thing. Because a lot of our shows, Seinfeld got so, we needed so many sets and things that sometimes there just wasn't a studio audience. Oh, okay. So because we literally needed that audience area for sets. Mm-hmm. So then we had to add a laugh track. And if you wanted him to turn a laugh down because he thought it was too big, he'd go, "I thought this was a comedy." And if you wanted him to turn it up a little bit, they can't all be winners. It was like just a very sour man. But anyway, yeah, all aspects of like how to make something, really learned from Larry and Jerry.
Oh, great teachers. I mean, clearly. And finally, as we're wrapping up now, who are your favorite comedians? Who maybe formed when you were younger? You first heard, I don't know if you were listening to records back then, but.
Yes, I had records. Yes. My old Victrola. No,
those old archaic form. I've heard runes about those in scrolls.
Yes. Yeah. No, we had our joke scrolls for sure. No, I grew up. Monty Python was.
Oh yeah.
Monty Python was the biggest. I remember I would record it on and literally write it down. Mm-hmm. And watch it and rewind it. Writing it down to do as a sketch. It was that and Peter Sellers, those early Pink Panther, him in the Pink Panther movies. Those two things really shaped me. I remember distinctly really disliking shows like Three's Company. Really disliking most like the sitcom kind of shows. Mm-hmm. I remember I didn't like those at all, but I loved Monty Python. And I still don't like most sitcoms. And I still love Monty Python. So I guess it was pretty formative.
What's have you got a favorite Monty Python? I'm guessing you're talking Flying Circus. I mean, it could also be the favorite
Flying
sketch.
Circus for sure, but also I would watch. I mean, well, obviously it was Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Was I think my entree, and then there was a live at the Hollywood Bowl that was it was a live Monty Python show where they were doing the sketches.
Oh yeah.
That was filmed it was like Monty Python Live. I would watch and watch and watch, but Holy Grail, I would be writing down come see the violence inherent in the system. We're an autonomous collective. The coolest thing the 50th anniversary was last year of the Holy Grail, and they were showing it on the big screen. Mm-hmm. So I took my daughter, who's also I got to watch it on the big screen with her, which was amazing, and still so damn funny.
That's so good. Yeah, no, I love that show. We're huge Monty Python fans. So these are from people online. How do you, after all this time, avoid making comedy repetitive?
Sometimes one of the funniest things, because Larry wasn't on Seinfeld for those last 2 years, we'll be talking about curb ideas, and he'll say an idea and I'll go, "Oh, we did that on Seinfeld." And I go, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah, you weren't there." There's always new stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's always new technology. There's always new situations. But you can't repeat yourself. Mm-hmm. You just have to guard against it. And there's always something new. There's always a new problem.
Got it. All right. Number 2. What advice do you have for someone who wants to write for the big screen and episodic TV?
Right. There's no substitute for actually just writing. That's what I was saying about building a barrel. You just got to do it. And your first one's not going to be as good as your third one. But you just have to keep doing it. There's no substitute. If you want to write, there's no substitute for actually writing. The other nice thing is you've got a movie studio right here.
Yeah.
Find some friends, film some stuff. It doesn't just have to live on the page anymore.
Right. Got it. No, that's great. With all the different options you have for the improvised sections, how do you decide which can be picked and which are kept? Yeah, I mean, you have so much gold.
That's when Larry and I get into wrestling matches. Sometimes, by the way, some stuff is great and it's just, you're there too long. You can feel it. You can feel that you're in the scene too long, and it's funny, but it has to go. And I'm like, all right, I'm remembering that for another scene. But sometimes it never makes it. It's just there's an internal rhythm that a show needs. Mm-hmm. And that's the most, you can't sit for too long. So sometimes things go even when they're great. But usually also we're combining things take this and half of that, half of this and half of that. We're sort of making a new monster in the edit room. Yeah. All the time. Oh, by the way, one piece of advice for everybody. I will say this. If you're writing a script or you're writing an episode, before you turn it in, read it out loud. read it out loud or get friends to read it out loud, because when you've seen it 1,000 times, you will lie and conflate, but when you read it out loud, you go, oh, it's supposed to say not married. It says married, or like not pregnant, or you go like, that doesn't sound like human speech. I promise you, it's a pain, but if you read it out loud, you will find things in it that you never would find if you were just reading it to yourself for the 10th time.
Got it. No, I mean, that's great. And I think as we're wrapping up now, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on, Jeff. We really appreciate you having here, and we can't wait for that next season of Curb.
Yeah, it's not a Curb, but it's for the 250th anniversary of America next July. It's Larry David historical sketches through American history. Think of it as like life, liberty, and the pursuit of unhappiness. Larry David's History of America.
Awesome. Well, I'm still holding you to the next season of Curb. I'm not allowing that.
Sure. All right. Well, great talking to you, man.